I believe this is episode 9, possibly. And today's task, one of today's tasks, is to put the panels on to the back doors and the sides and the sliding door. We gave them a coat of the white paint earlier. That's dried off and I've sanded it back a little bit. And I think we'll start with the back door panels. Now the idea obviously is just to put the panel on, keep it in line with these, and screw it through into the battens underneath. It won't want a lot of screws. I may just mark the corners where there are no screws so that we don't drill into it unnecessarily. Alright, so just put a little bit of masking tape where the battens are so that I can identify them. And our first panel will fit in there, again in line with these markers for the lining of it. And what we want to do is maybe just make a couple of little marks here. Now I'm just going to pre-drill them and give them a little countersink because they are very close to the edge, and if the screw goes in too far it could split that. Afterwards we'll fill this up with polyfiller, sand it back down, and it'll be spot on. Okay, so I have that lined up there, and we'll put the first screw through. As the back door is pretty much complete. Back panels are, top panels on, bottom panels on, everything's carpeted up, looking good. The lines are good on this, I like that. And so the next job, get these side panels on, and then onto something entirely different. Panels are going up really well. A little bit of remedial work needed on this one. Seems very tight in there. So I think there's an area here. This bottom piece looks alright, but just as it comes up round here, it's a little bit tight. So I'm going to take a little bit more of that off with the edge sander, and then this should fit perfectly. So that is the panelling complete. A little bit dark in here right now, but we'll have these panels running right the way through. We have the lower panel on. These all went on pretty easily really. And we have, darker again, the back door panel. And they're all parallel with the bottom of the floor. So, again, I think another major change in the van with these on. And our very next job, there's two actually. One is to mark out the floor for the furnishings. And the other one is this fiddly job here. This is very difficult to cover. In the last build, I think what I did with that is I scribed a piece of the 3.6mm ply and then screwed it on and carpeted it. And I think that's what's going to happen here. It's just the decision whether to do the mark out of the furniture or whether to do these things first. I think I'll take a look at the plan, put some masking tape on the floor to get a rough idea of where the furniture is going. And then, if there's still enough time left in the day and if I'm up for it, I'll see if I can start scribing those in. So the first consideration with this is we have the plans. I'm going to start in this corner where the battery box is going. The width of the battery box is 320 centimeters. So I'm going to put a mark on there at 320. And the battery box comes out the same as the rest of the cabinets at 420. 420. Oh, good. Right. So we're going to use this rule, sorry, this square, pressed right up against the bulkhead. That's it there. And then we can take some of the tape, align it with the square, and align it with the tape on the floor. Again, just down the side of the square so we know that we are square. There it is. Okay, so that would be the positioning of the battery box. So I'm going to get the battery and see how that sits in there. Now to me this looks okay. We've got room in here within this line for the battery, and we're going to put some 50 amp breakers on the floor, and that's about all that's going in there. Now our plan tells us that it's also 300 high. The box is going to be 300 centimeters high, which is up to here. So I'm seeing plenty of room. So our next task on this, we're going to have, this is going to be made out of 9mm MDF. It's going to be framed, like cabinet framed. So between this mark and our next mark, we want 9mm to show the wood. And the next element that goes in is the fridge. Alright, so the fridge is in position. 400 on the floor, 500 out this way. And that'll sit there nicely. As I say, this little box top will be here, then this will go right up to the worktop. So the next thing is, we know that the rest of the cabinets are going to be 420, the same as the battery box. So I'm going to make a mark 420 right the way up here, and then we'll consider dividing them up. Because that's a 420 line going right the way through. And another thing that we do know for sure is that the back cupboard is going to be from the back doors 850 in. I'm going to check that on my plan, but I'm sure we said 850. 850, that's what it says. And then we'll see what we've got left here for drawers and cupboard space. And I've put these two water tanks in here. These are 10-litre water tanks. And now 280 for the locker. 280. That takes it up to there. We could make the whole width of that cupboard 60 to here, and make the doors at 30 apiece. And that would be sufficient to get these in and out of this side, and to get the gas out of that side. That sounds plausible. And we want to make some drawers here. We want to put some drawers in. Now, if we could possibly get them to miss the wheel arch, that would be good. Then we'd be able to get full length drawers. They're going to be 38. So up to there we have the drawers. 38. That all seems okay to me. We'd have opening cupboards here. We'd have drawers, 3 drawers here, and then we've got space between here and the side of the large cupboard for a locker. Now the only other consideration is the height of this. Alright, this is all a bit makeshift, I understand, but just to determine the height of this, can you see it that way? I'll put it this way. What I've done is I've taped the rule to the wall, and I have here the hob and the sink, which I want to put as far this way as I can without taking it up above this mark. Now the worktop will be obviously at the same height as the sink. So if we take that and place it on top of the fridge and just lift it up a centimetre, I'm seeing we can get 68, and I'm seeing 68 is a lot better than 72. I'm going to write that on the plan just so as I remember. So instead of the 720, remember the plan, we've got the 720 here, that is now going to be 6, 8, should I put another 5 on? 685. And we've got 685 finishes here. So if we can do all that fairly precisely, I think that'll all look very nice and symmetrical, and it'll all work out. Okay, a little bit fiddly to get all that right, but I think it's right at this point. So I'm going to take the components back out, put them away, and amend the plan if it needs amending anymore, and then we'll get onto it. No, there's those wiggly bits down the side, isn't there? There's these things here. These. This is the next job. Fiddly though it is, this is the next job, so we'll get on with that. If we inspect this, I'm saying I may be able to get a piece right the way up there, twist it round there, it's only 3.5mm ply, then bring it down this way into here and right the way down that channel. Now I would intend to leave it at about this point because I will be doing something with this area here and I wouldn't want that to cover it. So I think my first bet is to take a measurement from the bottom to the top and just see what we're dealing with. Alright, so I haven't cut that. It will fit. Looks like it will. We'll go up to that point there, and we've got it round this piece at the top. We've got it round this piece at the top, and it's hitting the rim there. So now we have a job of scribing this in, and then cutting it out. Now on first appearances, not so bad, but we are a little bit off at the bottom here. That bottom piece just wants a little bit more shave off there. I'm not going to bother scribing that, I can see it really, but it wants that little bit more off there. Then I think this will fit in nicely. We can scribe it again from the back and we should be good. So this is the line. Didn't quite get it right down to the bottom, but that's okay. I can sort of estimate what that will be. Going to go about like that. So I'm just going to draw that in a little more defined so that I know where I'm going with the saw. Not too bad. We have, it's fitting in there okay. Little gap here, but the carpet will take that up. And we've got a little belly on the back of it there. So if I just push that in, scribe it once more. And if we take that little piece out, which is just there, then we should be good to go. Alright, so that's going to fit in there quite nicely. I'm going to see if it fits the other side, and if it does I'll make a mirror image of it. So moving right along with this, I have at this point glued the carpet to just this side of it. Now the idea is I'm going to put that in there, I'm going to screw through the wood, and then I'll stretch the carpet over, glue it, and just tuck it behind this plastic trim. And I managed to cut another one which was practically a mirror image for the other side, so we're good to go with all this. Okay, so we've got some of the adhesive and we're just going to put that on the board and the carpet, and we've got various things, little pick, faithful old screwdriver to get this round the trim, and then see if we can just push that in. That's that last column done. I think that looks okay. As I say, just this piece here is a difficulty, so I'm going to just let that ruminate a little. I'll consider what I'm going to do with that, and then I'll do it. But I think the pillars themselves look much better. That's really closed up all of the van, all of the wiring and everything, exposed wiring, etc. What we'll do is, I think, a little bit more laminate flooring down the front here, upstanding, just to match that in. And then furniture, definitely, furniture. So we're going to get started with the cabinets. I've got the MDF out here. I've primed it. I'm going to paint it once it's all made. Once all of the cabinet structure is made, we'll give it its final coat and colour. But for right now, we're going to cut this into strips. We want a 50mm strip, 50cm strip for the fridge unit, and then we want another strip which is 420 for the other cabinets. I also have a very rough sort of cutting guide telling me what wood goes where and what types of softwood we're using for the various panelling on here. Okay, so that's the first one done. That cut very easily. I do tend to stick this mask on when I'm making these cuts on this MDF. It's very dusty material, especially with this type of saw. The saw doesn't have an extraction on it or anything. It's just thrown it. It throws it that way, luckily away from me. But it's always a good idea to stick a mask on when you're making these cuts that are going to cause a lot of dust. Okay, so those cuts being done, fortunately what we're left with is a piece which is exactly 300, which is the height of the battery box. So if we cut a piece off here, 420, here, then that will do for the first side of the battery box. So these are going to be the panels for the fridges, sorry, for the fridge, and that whole unit, I decided on the other day, is 680, but that's with the worktop. So we need to take the depth of the worktop off the height of this panel, and I believe the worktop is 28mm, so that gives us 652. So this one's to be 652 tall. So another one of them, exactly the same. So just line that up at the bottom, square it up at the sides, and draw a line. Now I've gotten some of these into the van, and the first one for the fridge there, really good. That's right on the line. But I have made a slight error of calculation, and I'll try to explain it to you and explain the workaround as well. If I put this panel in here, again right on the line, that's what we want, but there's a gap at the back. Now you would normally scribe that in, but if I do scribe it in, then the panel will be shorter at the bottom. It's the bottom piece which has to come off. The error here was I didn't really get the dimension, the angle of the van beforehand. In doing that, the way I should have done it, or one way I could have done it, would be to measure this gap, add that to the width of the board, and then when it's scribed off it would be in place. But I'm not going to let this worry me too much, because the way I was going to build this anyhow was to put a batten like this up the side, and we can still do that. We can put the battens right the way up. They would end about there, because we'll have a cross batten coming this way. They will screw to the wall, and then the panel will screw to the batten, and that will be absolutely fine. This one here, for the side of the cupboard, will work out. That's okay, because this is indeed further out than the width of the board. So we're going to scribe this one in. I'll show you what I've done with it. I've got it square, holding the square behind it, and at this corner I've set the pencil. Can you see that? There you go. This corner I've set the pencil to rest right on the edge of the board. Now when we pull this down, and follow the line all the way, that's we're cut out. So if we cut this out, then I'm saying that'll fit really snugly. Right, I've cut that, scribed it at the back, and we're just going to see if it fits. I think it will. I think it's a pretty good cut by the looks of it. Right, that's going to go in there, right there. We're pretty much bang on the line here. That's maybe 1mm over, and for the sake of it I may take another millimetre off there. And if we put our square on, when that's squared up, that's sitting really nicely in there. So as I say, same procedure as the other ones. We'll put a little batten here, and we'll screw that to the metal, and we'll screw to the side of here, and those cabinets will be solid. A friend of mine just popped by, and we managed to get the bed back in so that I could get exact dimensions for the drawers. The drawers didn't have to move a touch. They were to be here, but really they should be here. This is just to prevent them snagging on the front of the bed at all, and I think that positioning there will be spot on. So we have this panel going in here, and we have this one here. What we're going to do at this point is put the back straps on, which these will secure to. What I intend to do with this, this is going to be the fridge compartment on one side, and the cupboards on the other. So, well, I'll measure this up before I do it, just to show what I'm actually up to here. I'll square that up with the floor, like that, and then we know that this batten is going in here, just a batten width down from the top, because we will have a continuous batten joining all these together, and that's going to go there on the wall. So we'll have a gap in the bottom to get the cables through. We'll put a few screws, a couple of screws into this batten, and that will be in place. continuing with that, I've got the square on. This is square. Was square that way, and it is also square that way. So we can put this on here. We can put the batten, as I say, just a batten's width from the top there. Keep that in place. And let all of this stuff go. And screw that on. There it is. So this next one, slightly different again. Because of the shape of it, obviously we can't put a continuous batten in. So I'm going to put a small one there, just attached to the metal. And I'll put another one, again 100 up from the floor here, and that should get into that panel. So let's do that. Measure that up like so. Okay, so that's the first line of them in. Again, got the fridge, got the cupboards, got the drawers, locker here, tall cupboard here. So what I'm going to do is take them back out. I've just put them in temporarily, just want to make sure everything fits okay and is looking good. There's a few other things to do with them, prep up wise. Could do a little coat of paint down here, smoothing up a bit. And want some inserts for the hinges on the doors, just so that the doors open correctly. So that's about it with them. The next thing to tackle is the tall cupboard here. And I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to do this by making the frame first and then cladding it with the 6mm ply. And this here will be quite a scribe. It's going to go all the way up there, and there's a curvature on the ceiling. So this will be an interesting one to do. Okay, so that's it for this video. In the next one, as I say, what we're going to do is build the tall cabinet at the back of the van. And we're also going to get on with the second fix electrics. This has to be done before the cabinets are fixed in permanently. So next time we're going to get started on that cupboard. So thanks very much for watching. If you would like to see that video and how the rest of the build transpires, if you haven't subscribed already, please consider do so now. Give the video a thumbs up, and thank you very much for watching.